Hi, we're just going to have a conversation about DNA and how we do it, what it is, and we invite you to listen in.
I'm Jo.
I'm Mark. So, Jo, what does DNA stand for?
DNA stands for discover, nurture, and act. So, discover our identity, discover who God is, who we are, nurture that between each other. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Where have you met God this week? That kind of thing. So, what have you been able to put into action in your own life? And sort of just pray for each other, really, nurturing. And then act is like, let's go do what we learn. Let's go put it into action.
So some would say that's head, heart, and hands. What do we need to know? What do we need to believe? And what do we need to live out with our hands, our feet, our tongues, our wallets, and every other?
Out of our heart, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Out of the heart comes the overflow. So you've been running DNA groups for quite a while now. How often do you meet?
Well, currently, actually, bizarrely, I'm not actually in one at the moment, but we've been doing this for 5 years with the women, so we have 3 or 4 women in a group. Just no more than that gets too long, too unwieldy, not everybody gets to speak. So it's 3s and 4s. We've been advised that women will take longer than men to kind of find out. I think they're very good at nurturing, so we like to talk a little bit longer. So we normally meet for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. Mm-hmm. You guys?
Yeah, sometimes we're done in an hour because we generally speaking, have less words, but that's not always true. Sometimes we do talk quite a bit, but it depends on the evening. Yeah. So how often do you meet?
Oh yeah, how often do we meet? We meet once every week is ideal, obviously to fit everybody's needs, so it depends on who's in your group. But it can be once every fortnight. I wouldn't go less than that, because if somebody misses one, then it's a long time before you meet up again.
Yeah, we found that with the fellas, that where you missed one, it's a whole month before you get to see each other. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's too
long.
long.
Whereas if it's weekly, if you do miss one, you can meet up with whoever happens to turn up, and you very quickly get back on track. So
I think it's really important, actually, because I know that some groups wouldn't choose to meet. If somebody can't make it, they'll say, oh well, let's leave it then. It's much better, I personally speaking have found, if you stick to your pattern and you meet anyway without that person who can't be there, or even sometimes I say 2 people who can't be there, just meet up as a one-on-one. Go for a coffee, just pray for each other, find out how each other's doing, and that will usually be a shorter time. But we still really encourage it. This is highly relational. The whole thing is highly relational, and that's what God intends for us. So it's like, keep on meeting whenever you can, even just for the one.
And we'll get into some of the deeper stuff behind this, but we passionately believe that relationship is the thing. It's the actual thing itself. It's not just a means to an end. It's not a side effect of what we're doing. It's the very thing itself. So you meet in weekly or fortnightly, which is also okay. Single sex groups. Say a little bit about why we don't meet in mixed groups.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious for most people, really. People can, it depends on their life history. So we're working particularly with a lot of broken people, but not everybody does. We're all broken, I get that.
Broken, yeah.
But I think it's just easier for people to relate to their own kind of gender, really. And there may be some deep things. We do go really deep, and sometimes we go really personal. And that can be quite intimidating in a mixed group. And I know that you still have different personalities in genders, and there's usually a talker, and there's usually one that you need to draw out a little bit. But it's so much easier to do that in a group of same sex.
Yeah, I know that even if we're having a 15 certificate conversation as men, you stick a lady in the group, those guys are not going to go there. They're just going to clam up and not even talk about that thing. So that's important, because we want the gospel to be applied to every area of life, including that area that we're not wanting to consider. So that's really helpful.
I've got a question for you.
Go for it.
So with my group of women that I've worked with, I tend to go through the material and we read through it together. And sometimes I'll send them like a snippet of that in advance of our meeting so that they can get an idea of what it is we're going to be talking about, just to remind them and actually think about that before they come. And then we go through it by reading and just talking. I know that that's not true for you.
No.
For not all of your groups of men that you work with.
No, a lot of the guys that I've been connecting with aren't like big on reading, and actually getting out the material becomes an obstacle. It feels very educational. It's like, and I say to everybody, this is not a course. It's just some material for you to lean on, to refer back to have in your mind. And I think part of the challenge of leading this, something like this, is to be able to get it in you, which is really hard when we were doing it for the first time. So you have to begin somewhere. But once you've been through it 3 or 4 times, you've got it in you. We talk a lot about getting it tattooed, the word tattooed on our hearts or in our bones, so it's in us. So what I've had to do sometimes is just to get a sheet of paper or back of an envelope and just sketch out a diagram for the guys. And I find that give them a marker pen, they'll start interacting with that. They'll start saying, oh, so that's a bit like this then, and it'll become this interactive kind of, more like something that would happen on site, on a building site with the plans, rather than sat in rows in a classroom. It's a bit more kind of participatory, if I can use that big word. So that has that's worked well for us, and I think it's just a way to ignite the fire, to get you started, because the word is a living word and it speaks for itself. So we do read the Bible, we do pray, but I think going through everything line by line hasn't always worked. So I want everyone to know that you don't need to slavishly follow this. If you just got the gist of it, and that's what's going to work for your group this week, that's okay.
I think the material there and the way it's set out is very clear, and you know, if you're going through it for the first time, that's probably the way that you're going to go through it. But I don't think I'd probably call it a classroom experience, even when I've done it like that with the women. It's more a coffee table experience. We're sat around, you know, having a cuppa, or sat in the lounge or whatever. It's very relaxed. It's very informal. It's not classroom like. Though it is, I'm probably more wordy, and you're probably a bit more kind of like creative with your diagrams and things like that. And I think the important thing to remember in all of this is, what is your gifting? You know, what are you comfortable with? How do you do that? Because when you're leading this group, and we say lead very, very loosely. Okay. So
host.
Let's call it host or parenting. Even, you know, when you're sat with this group of you know, women or men or whatever, if you're confident in the way that you're describing things, then people latch onto that. So I think it's about finding your own gifting, your own comfortableness in how you actually parent and explain something. You know, I'm not being derogatory or anything, but sometimes, you know, it's like, I just imagine, how would I tell my kids this? How would I describe what I'm trying to explain to my children? So, and it helps me in my personal way of kind of feeling more confident about what I'm trying to share.
So maybe if you're a storyteller, tell stories. If you find it helpful to just read it out, and that's what's going to work for you, do that. If you want to paraphrase it, do that. If you want to come up with some bizarre illustration, hands-on, bring in an object, you've got complete free rein to make this your own.
Absolutely.
It's not a course.
It's basically just a skeleton kind of, this is the message that we want to get across. Be creative. I think.
I've got a question for you. Group size is important because Jesus did some things with just Peter, James and John that he didn't do with the 12 or with the 72. So just tell us a little bit about why group size is important.
Oh, I think most people have got that, to be honest, because the bigger the group you have, let's just say there were 12 of us, you are inevitably going to have, either you're going to have a really noisy group and people aren't going to be able to hear all of the conversations, everybody wants to talk and say their bit, or you're going to have the few people who just sit back in the corner and never share. and we don't want that. We want everybody to be able to join in. So 3 or 4 is just a perfect number, really.
And I guess there's just not enough time in an hour and a half to even get around that
Oh,
many
no.
people.
No,
So,
definitely not. I mean, one of the things that we do, one of the key things, is sharing our stories. So if you've got 12 people in your group, that's going to take 12 weeks.
yeah,
You know, it's like people. It's great to do that, but it's just too much, and you're probably going to forget who said what. To be fair,
yeah,
whereas only 3 or 4 of you, it's so much easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a group that's small enough
Yeah,
that there's nowhere to hide,
yeah,
but it's safe enough that people feel they can open up, even if they're an introvert.
yeah.
So, in fact, introverts are really important to make this work because they tend to go deeper rather than having a shallow conversation.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Well, in that case, it's better for extroverts as well, isn't it? Because it makes them go deeper.
It does, yeah.
So
We
rather than just skim the surface. So
yeah. We do need each other in that way. So what about where we meet?
Well, yeah. Sometimes we meet out in public. I mean, when we first started, it was COVID, so we were sat outside in our camping chairs, blankets, bringing our own hot chocolates, sat out on a playing field in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
And that's great. You do need to meet somewhere where it is private,
yeah,
because there will be things that come up that you don't want other people earwigging on.
yeah.
So cafes and pubs and things like that, probably not so much, not unless you can find a real cosy corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes obviously there are going to be tears, sometimes anger, actually, at what comes out.
Yeah.
So I would say in a home is ideal, or just, you know, if it's summertime, go outside somewhere,
Yeah, go
take
for a
your
walk.
coffee. COVID doesn't make you, you know, it's not just COVID that kind of like can have the challenges of where to meet privately. I think we can do that anyway.
So you could do it on a walk,
Could do it on a walk.
completely fine. In fact, one of my happiest memories was in an industrial unit. We used to meet in an industrial unit. I had a bricklayer, a lorry driver, and a recovering Class A drug addict, and that was really deep.
Yeah.
And it was just a very friendly,
Yeah.
amenable space for those guys.
I guess on a walk it's a bit harder because if you've got 4 of you, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. You've got people around you, so yeah.
Good.
Another question. So the sessions are set up into, I think there's 16 with one extra.
You
just
start
a bonus
with
one.
telling your story.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, do you go through a whole session and slavishly get to the end of it if you've only got an hour?
No, sometimes, you know, I would say this. Sometimes we don't even get to the session
Wow.
because something's happened that week
Yeah,
that
that's
needs to be talked about, needs to be spoken into. Somebody might have had a really rubbish week. Somebody might have had some great news that they want to share. And sometimes we just pressed pause and had a social because that was the right thing to do. Because this is, as I say, this is not a get through the 16 weeks, get it done. This is a long-term relationship where we can chill out, take our foot off the gas a little bit, and if it takes us 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 fortnights to get through a particularly tricky session that opens up lots of things that we couldn't have predicted, then let's just take that time. You know, I've taken up to a year to go through this with.
I think I've taken 18 months.
You've taken 18 months, so that's the kind of time scale we're looking at. So everybody relax. It's not a pressure thing. Don't have to keep on track.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get together and it's been a while because someone's had illness or something. And we're like, I'm supposed to be leading it. I can't even remember where we've got up to.
Yeah.
So we have to remember that together. And
This is life after all.
This is
isn't
life.
it?
It's a shared life. Yeah.
So
let's just be real about that.
Yeah. I remember there's one session where it's quite meaty. It's about who God is, His goodness and greatness and all of that. And it took us, there's 4 sections to that. And it literally took us 4 weeks to get through, or 4 gatherings to get through each one of those. So, I think just we need to chill out about the whole thing. But on that, actually, that's just I've just thought of that. So we might be together as a group of 3 or 4 for 12 to 18 months on average.
Yeah.
It may be maybe longer, maybe shorter. And don't be alarmed when people leave and they say, I can't do this anymore. Just keep on going with the ones that you've got left, even if it's a one-on-one. But how do people feel in your experience of when that time comes to an end? Then what?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I always say to the guys that I'm working with, there is no advanced course. I mean, this is a narrow syllabus, but it's deep. It's not like a 6-year program that you're going through. You can do it in 16 weeks. One of my guys said to me, you can learn this in 6 weeks and take the rest of your life to apply it. So it's not a wide syllabus, it's deep. So I think really the ideal is that the advanced course is teaching it.
Yeah.
So the aim is to add another person to the group and another person. Yeah. Teaching. Yeah. Parenting. Yeah. Disciple making.
Yeah.
So maybe the advanced course is to lead another group with a group of guys that have never done DNA when you have. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So.
But they don't have to do that on their own. You could be there in that group again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And just help them along, but they're the ones who are.
Yeah.
Kind of like organising and.
Yeah, and before I forget, you can be in more than one DNA group if you have capacity.
Yeah.
So I think basically the ideal is that the group grows to a point where it can multiply into 2. So you add in some new people and some people who've done it. Now they don't have to have it all locked down. They might have a finger hold on some of that and learn more when they go through it again. But they know more than the guys who've joined.
Yeah.
They've got at least an idea what it is. Therefore they can go and facilitate that and benefit themselves.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, really good. I was going to ask you actually, how do we form groups? Do we just stick people together, or do we let their natural relationships form it, or a bit of each?
Okay, can I just backtrack a minute to about how some of the women are, because over 18 months you've heard each other's stories, and I think women are far more connected and emotional in some responses to men generally, and they like to stay together. It's like, oh yeah, but we don't want to break up our little group, you know. So I think the important thing for me in all of this is encouraging those ladies to make connections in the wider missional community, to constantly keep meeting each other in that group. So we may be for 18 months together as a really tight little group, but we mustn't forget to keep connecting to the wider missional community. So that, and to let them know in advance that we are not going to be staying together after 18 months or 12 months. That the intention is for us to move out to other people, which is why we need to stay connected. So, I think that's really important. Now I've forgotten what you asked me.
I'd forgotten what I was going to say, but that doesn't matter, because I think you've raised a really important point, that DNA group should be within a missional community. Because if you don't see life lived out, you know, I just noticed the way you spoke to your partner there. I mean, what was that? I'm going to pick up with that in DNA.
Well, that's nurturing.
Yeah, exactly. So. I watched everybody else was tidying up and you didn't. What was that about? Tell me about that. Because you're observing their whole life.
Or positive things.
Exactly. I'm picking on the negative. I was like, I love the way you spoke to them. When nobody else saw that opportunity, you stepped up. I want to just applaud that in you and say that was very Jesus-like. So it works both ways. It
does give you the right to be able to speak into people's lives. They're much more accepting when you've gone deeper with each other and you've been vulnerable yourself.
Well, they've seen you on a bad day too.
Absolutely. So I remember the question you asked. So how do you put people into groups? I sent out a message, the last session that I did, I sent out a message to probably about 12 women that we had in our group who were interested in spiritual things, and just asked if they'd like to be in a DNA group, if they either were already and would like to join another one, or would they, if they're not already, would they like to. So we met around lunch. There were 10 people who took up that opportunity. We all had lunch together, and I explained the ins and outs of what I'm doing now, really. Explained what DNA was and why we meet and things like that. And I asked our ladies to be extremely honest when they'd heard all of the thing and they still want to be part of a group. Is there anybody that you would not like to be in a group with? Which was a very dangerous question in some regards, but we'd already got the basis of a friendship and a relationship. And there was one person who said, well, actually, I don't want to be a group with this lady because I see a lot of her already, which I thought was really mature. And it's like, it's a fair point. What she's saying is she'd like to go deeper with some other people. and she wants to trust other people. So, and then obviously there was the question is like, is there anybody you would prefer to be in a group with because of the relationship that you have and the trust that you've already built up.
Yeah.
So it's giving people a little bit of free rein in that. And then just kind of like saying, okay, well, I've had a little think about it. How about you guys be in a group together? How does that sound? And just ask them. And it's like some people came back to me and said, oh, do you know what? I'd rather not because I'm related to that person. Or,
Yeah. In fact, we did a similar thing with the men. I did it anonymously.
Yeah.
So I said, guys, here's the deal. You can pick one you want to be with, one you don't, but text me or WhatsApp me anonymously.
Yeah.
And so there's no offence. I mean,
yes, fair enough.
but there's different ways of doing that depending on your group.
Yeah.
And certain guys I'd noticed had really gravitated towards each
Yeah.
other. So you can just observe that. They might not even have recognised it, but you see that they're
Yeah.
talking, they're getting on.
Yeah.
So that's really, really helpful.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know if there's anything else that I would add to that. Really.
I think what we'd like to do in the next video, we want to keep this as short as we can. In the next one, we'd like to talk to you about what it is, because this is a deep dive into the very heart of the gospel, and we'd like to tell you about that a little bit more in a separate video.
And I think we've probably talked quite a lot. So the other videos to follow, I think, would be a lot shorter, more succinct.
Yeah.
And then I think what we're planning to do after that is to talk about each session. Give an overview of what that's like, and maybe just a little snippet of our own experience of that kind of session that we've done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.